Hi, my name's Prumihimo and I'd like to give you a few tips about using a weight with your kumihimo. Now, I always like to use a weight. I find it gives you very nice even tension, but there are a few little tricks that make it work particularly well. What I'm going to say applies to any sort of disc or plate braiding that you might be doing. So whether it's the round disc, whether it's the square plate, whether it's the Prumihimo disc, the same will apply. Now, the starting point is, of course, what are you going to use as a weight? I'm going to come straight out and say I'm going to recommend these purpose-made gaiter weight, 50 gram and 100 gram. They're from my dear friend Jamie North at Glitz and Kits. And if you're interested, you can find the information about her website in the information below. The smaller one is probably the most useful, the one you'll use most. So if you can only afford one, go for that one. But if you can go for the two, I'm going to show you towards the end how you can use these very effectively. So that is my recommendation. But there are many other things you can use. You might be able to improvise. You might be able to find something that's about that weight. And it's 50 grams that you're looking for in the first place. Or another very popular way of making your weight is to pop some coins in a little bag and either clip the bag onto the braid or tie it on. And in here, I've got 5 £1 coins because, of course, I'm in Great Britain. So if you live somewhere else, you might like to put in the comments below some suggestions of exactly what coins will work up to be about 50 grams. And it's all approximate. We don't have to be very precise with this. So those are a few suggestions. You may have some more of your own. Tell me about them. Right, so whatever braid you're doing, your starting point is to attach the weight in some way to that knot or whatever ending you've got under your disc. So this is why I like these. You can just open up the alligator clip and attach them to the knot. So you braid away. And in all my other videos, I do talk about how you maintain tension and make sure you let your weight hang freely. As your braid grows, so let's improvise here with a braid. I'm going to attach this one here. So you're braiding away merrily, and of course your braid starts to grow. Well, it's okay at that point, but as soon as you let that weight hit the table or anything else, this whole job can't be done. There's no weight at all there. So you've got to be very mindful that you let it hang freely and not rest on anything. But that becomes quite uncomfortable after a while. So what you need to do is just bring the weight up. And with a plain braid like this, it's really easy. You just clip it a little bit further up. And then as it grows, you keep clipping it further. You can leave it on the bottom and you will find it still will do its job as long as it's hanging freely. But one problem with that is it can start to swing, and that can start to pull your cords out of their slots, and it's just uncomfortable really. So the best thing is to bring it up in some way. And as I say, it's easy with a plain braid. With something that's just beaded on one side, like this braid made on my Prumihimo disc, easy again. You just move it up the braid, attaching it to the side, not on the beads. But once you get to this sort of braid, which is very, very heavily beaded, you're going to have trouble finding anywhere where you're happy to actually clip on. Now, to be honest, it's unlikely to do any damage, but you really don't want to take that risk. So my little trick is to use some Eslon, which I've always got beside me. Take a short length of that and do a slip knot in the middle. So that's a loop, and then passing another loop through. So I've got a slip knot like that. And then I simply thread the end of the braid through, tighten up the slip knot so it's nice and snug, and then with those two tails I tie another knot like that, just an ordinary overhand knot. And the purpose of this is to give the weight something to grip hold of. So I can just clip that on and it's kept in place. And then I actually find it fun. You can move that little slip knot up, or you can just snip it off and put another one further up as your braid starts to grow. So that's a useful tip. But now I've got another tip. You may be wondering why you need two weights. For finer work, when you're using thinner cords, this is going to be the one you want, the 50 gram weight. And particularly for beaded work, this is the one you're going to want. This you'll find if you've got a very brand new disc with very tight slots, or if you're using thicker cord, this can be very useful. But here's a trick where you need both. Sometimes you're going to make something pretty elaborate. Maybe, let's see, might be like this. Okay, this is agate. These are 6mm agate, so they're quite heavy. This necklace actually weighs 50 grams on its own. So you can imagine that once I've got towards the end, it's exerting quite a strong pull on that disc. How about this one? This is citrine. This is even heavier. This weighs 100 grams. Or how about this one? This is hematite and crystal. This weighs nearly 150 grams. What you'll find is that when you're braiding those, there's such a strong pull on the disc that your braid at the end will look quite different to your braid at the beginning. So the way around that is you start off with both weights clipped on. Then you braid for approximately a third of the necklace. Approximate is fine. And at about that point, you'll probably start to find that the necklace is pulling the braid a little bit down from the disc. So at that point, take off one of the weights. Then braid for another third. Again, about that point, you'll find that it's getting a bit heavy. So at that point, take off the weight altogether and then carry on braiding. And that is how you will minimize the effect of those very heavy necklaces. So I hope that's been helpful. These are the tricks and tips that have worked for me. Other people may have other tricks and tips and I'd love to hear them. But I hope that these help your braiding to be even more successful. If you want to know about more of my little tricks, then I suggest you subscribe to my channel because that will mean that you'll be notified when I upload more videos. And I've got a whole range of videos coming up, techniques, tips, tutorials. And also don't forget to visit my website where there's masses of information as well. So thank you very much for paying attention. Thank you very much for watching. It's been lovely having you with me. And until next time, bye.